Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Get your popcorn ready. Get your breakfast ready. Get your cleaning supplies ready. Get yourself ready. Y'all know what time it is. It's game time. It's time to talk about money. It's time to talk about finances. It's Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. This is where we have our conversations about financial literacy. Get your situation right. Get your phone propped up correctly. Get your laptop opened up. Set me up on YouTube Live, on your TV. It's Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. And you know what we do. We come together to talk about financial literacy. Yep, wake up the person next to you. Tell them it's time. It's time. Call your friend. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and share. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Let your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, your family, your people know we're getting ready to have a conversation about financial literacy. It's Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. And I want to welcome you to Coach Steele's Finance Training. And here at Coach Steele's Finance Training, I'm Coach Steele. I'm your financial coach for today. And we're going to get this party started. We're going to get everything going. And I'm sure we have a few house announcements to get out the way. And then we're going to dive right into our subject for today. Our subject today, ladies and gentlemen, is, are you good with money? That's what we want to talk about. Are you good with money? What are signs that you are good with money? What are symptoms that may identify that you may not be good with money? But we want to know, are you good with money? Let me put my comment section up. I'm a little hyped up. Let me calm down. Ooh, man. All right. So we're going to get this party started. And we have a good morning from Felicia Richardson. Good morning to you. Good morning to Sister Graham as well. Happy to have everybody tuning in on this morning. So as you tune in this morning and you hop in the room, whether you are on YouTube Live in my chat section on Coach Steele's Finance Training on YouTube, make sure you tell me good morning, hello, or something. You can put a dot, you can put a period, you can put an emoji, whatever. I just want to know who's in the room, and I want to greet you and appreciate you for tuning in on this morning, 9 a.m. Saturday, where I go live every Saturday morning. So anyway, we are talking about, are you good with money? And we're going to go over some things that may help dictate or determine or identify if you are good or if you are not. Either way, don't allow it to beat yourself up. Take notes. And what we do is we work on improving in those soft areas, those areas where we are not as strong. So happy to have everybody tuning in. Like I said, good morning to you, Sister Graham, as well, for tuning in. Yes, yes, yes. So as we get this party started, we've already done the intro, and I want to welcome all of you all to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Welcome to the team. And if you're just tuning in, make sure that you tell me good morning or leave an emoji or something so I'll know who's tuned in. Wake up your friends, families, loved ones. Share this on Facebook if you can. That way other people can tune in and see what you're tapped into. We're going to talk about money today. We're going to talk about financial literacy and things, signs to dictate and determine, are you good with money? I am live on YouTube and I am live on Facebook. So if you're listening in on Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook. And whether you listen in on YouTube or not, make sure you go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe anyway. We're building a family up over there. And during the week, I always put more videos. Good morning to you, Mrs. Grant, Miss Lottie Grant. Appreciate you tuning in on this morning as well. So just know during the week, if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm constantly putting more financial literacy information, content, videos up on the YouTube channel as well. All right, that was a lot. I think I'm tired now. I was a little pumped up and excited about coming on here, and I'm tired now. But we're going to get this party started. Now, what we have is signs you are good with money. Let's start with the first sign. Now, let's see if I can write it. I don't know if I write something in the chat, I know it will go on the YouTube channel chat section. But if I write it in here, it may not go on Facebook. So somebody on Facebook has to be my note taker today. And when we start with number one of the first things that will help determine and actually help you make you a better money manager is, do you budget monthly? Now, some people don't like the B word. They're intimidated by the word budget. So we'll start with number one. Number one is budget. Do you budget monthly? Let me put number one. Budget. Do we budget monthly? And so when we talk about budgeting, some people take the word budget the wrong way. They think budget means, oh, I have to be strict on this, or I have to be strict on that, or I can't spend, or I can't. And you have to understand, budgeting is simple. Budgeting is very simple. Thank you, Miss Yvette Steele. Appreciate that. It's merely identifying where your money is going. Budgeting is identifying where your money is going so that you can properly allocate where it should go. Budgeting allows you to be in control and be able to dominate and oversee your money. So number one, as we start, it's about budgeting. Do you budget your money monthly? Do you know where your income is going? Do you know how much expenses you have? How much do you spend a month in groceries? How much money does Walmart get from you every month? How much money does the Food Lion, Costco's, Target, wherever you like to shop, how much money do they get from you monthly? Good morning to you, Mickey David. Happy to have you tuning in as well. So when you're budgeting, you want to know how much money do you spend on food, how much money you spend on utilities. You know, I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about utilities, and they found out in a sense, in a nutshell, that they might potentially being overcharged by the electric company. So they are taking action to get that stuff corrected to potentially lower their electric bill. That's a lot of money throughout the year. So if you can get an adjustment there by monitoring that stuff and identifying if there's a potential problem, you may put more money back in your pocket. So budgeting really helps you identify the strengths and weaknesses of your income, expenses, and cash flow. And so you have to be brave and confident enough to get a microscope and start examining what your finances look like. Is budgeting always fun? No, it's not always fun, especially when you start writing all the stuff that costs your money to go out. And you really have to scrub that list very careful. It's frustrating. It can be annoying. When you start making that list of what is going out and what is coming in, you start realizing where a lot of your money is going. And then you start seeing the income and the cash flow that's left over, it starts decreasing. Cash flow is decreasing because those expenses, those bills, those debts all of that stuff, we have to identify it and look at it if we want to be good with our money, because then we can find out what we need to eliminate, what we need to get rid of. Should I have more going here? Do I have the right amount going to my savings? Do I have the right amount going to my emergency fund? You can start going to work once you put together your budget and your plan. So that's number one. Number one is being able to budget. If you're not great at budgeting and you don't know how to put a budget together, guess what? I'm right here. So feel free to send me a message in my inbox or email me actually as well if you want to. You can email me. Let's see. Let me put the email up here. See if I can figure it out. It's already up. My email address is already down there at the bottom at the ticker. It says coachsteelefinance@gmail.com. So you can always email me and let me know, hey, I need help with putting my budget together, and we'll work on that budget as well. So that's number one. Number two, this is one that most people try to do and sometimes fail at. And we'll go a little more detail in this. Number two, good signs that you are good at your money is having a good strategy to eliminate your debt. Having a solid plan and strategy effectively on how you're going to eliminate debt if you have any. And so there are some people, they may have credit cards, they may have personal loans, student loans, car notes, mortgage, all these different types of debt, all types of consumer debt. And they have to figure out how it's a lot. How do I get rid of it? So they put a little extra here. They put a little extra there, and they try to pay, something here. But there's not a legitimate plan in place. There's not something solid, concrete. And when you have a legitimate plan in place to eliminate debt, it's something that you can probably look at that's tangible, or something that you've put on a computer, on a device. You've done the math. You logically know that, thank you, Yvette, have a good strategy on how to eliminate debt. That is number two. Let me get back over there to that. So you can take a calculator and say, on this date, based off these numbers, I will have this paid off. That's another good sign that you are mastering your money, you're mastering your finances, you're mastering those seeds, that money that you have, that income, that cash flow, and using it effectively to eliminate debt. And anybody who's tuning in on today, when you eliminate debt, what do you increase at the end of every month? When you get rid of debt, what should increase at the end of every month for you? That's a pop quiz question. What should increase? What's the financial literacy term? What should increase at the end of every month when you eliminate debt? Let's see who's going to get the answer right. I should put on some Jeopardy music. Well, that's one word, surplus. I'm looking for something else. There should be a surplus, but there's a financial literacy term. It's like two words. What should increase at the end of every month? So Sister Graham is close. What should increase at the end of the month? You should have more what? Anybody? Okay, you're close. You're close, Lottie. Yeah, it's money, but what is the financial literacy term? It's two words. You should have more blank blank at the end of every month. What is the term? Okay, I'll tell you. I'm going to have to give y'all a hint. I'm going to have to give you a hint. At the end of every month, you should have more CF. when you eliminate debt, if you pay off a credit card or all right. So, hold on. Let me put Felicia in there first. Okay. So, Felicia Richardson is correct. You should have more cash flow at the end of every month. Her answer came in. Hold on, wait. I don't know. On Facebook, Sister Graham's came in quicker, but on this over here that I'm looking at, my other platform, Felicia's came in first. I don't know whose came in first. But I was going to give like $10 away, whoever got the answer right. So y'all might have to split it. So Felicia gets $5 and Miss Graham gets $5, unless one of y'all just want to give it to the other person. But so that's $10 for getting that correct. I owe both of y'all $5. So later on, make sure you send me your Cash App or Zelle in my inbox whenever you're free, or email me at my email address, and I'll make sure that you get your award. Janice, good morning. Thank you for tuning in as well. You said gross income extra. It wouldn't be the gross income because your gross income is the money before taxes. And so you will have extra left over at the end of the month, but it wouldn't be the gross income. So that answer, Janice, is incorrect. And whenever you have a wrong answer on here, you got to give me $5. I'm just kidding. You don't have to give me $5. It's a joke. Keep answering. Don't not answer. Worried about having to pay. But anyway, so look at that, Felicia, another blessing. Look at God. She said, give it to you. All right. So we got teamwork going on today. We got people sharing and caring. And so as we move forward, there are benefits when you eliminate debt, but you have to have a legitimate plan. And another thing, one thing that motivates me to get rid of debt and eliminate debt is to find out how much that debt is going to cost me. What is this debt going to get out of me based on good morning, Dominique Williams. Thank you for tuning in as well. What is this debt going to cost me if I continue to pay it how they want me to pay it? And I'll give an example. Y'all know I'm a little slow with tech, but I'm going to try to switch over, change screen so that you all can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Ooh, let me do this right. Share screen. Let's go to this. And let's see if I got this right. All right. So you want to find out how much the debt is going to cost you. Oh, it popped up perfectly. Awesome. So let's look and give an example. So, matter of fact, I'll let somebody, it could be a hypothetical or it could be realistic. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows whether or not you're saying the real numbers or not. But someone from the crowd, let's say we have a credit card. How much is the credit card balance? Tell me how much the credit card balance is. Let's do a hypothetical. Because we're going to find out how long it's going to take to pay this credit card off. And if we follow a certain term or time frame, how much it's going to cost us in interest. So from someone in the crowd tuning in, give me a hypothetical of how much the credit card balance is. What is the credit card balance that we're going to type in? Let me supersize this. Let me open it up a little bit more. Mr. Jenkins, thank you for tuning in on this morning. I appreciate it. Awesome, Janice. Boom. All right, so we got a $2,000 credit card. What's the hypothetical interest rate that we're going to put at? What's the interest rate on this credit card? All right, we'll do $2,500 next. All right, what is the hypothetical interest rate of this credit card? We want to find out if we make certain payments, how long it's going to take to pay it off. And we know credit cards, the interest rates right now are kind of nasty. Good morning, Mr. Jamal Anderson. Thank you for tuning in on this morning. Happy to connect with you and see your name. The interest rate on the credit card is 6.7%, Jamal. Who has a credit card at 6.7%? That's like the interest rate on a mortgage. Okay, I'm not going to fuss at him in front of everybody. Let me calm down. It's cool. You wrote in your answer. I'm not upset. Now, On average, now I know sometimes people get credit cards at 0%. I understand that, ladies and gentlemen. But on average, what is the average interest rate on a credit card right now? Anybody except for Jamal. Jamal, don't answer. I mean, you can answer. So, yeah. What is the average? Just give me an average interest rate. So cards, and you know what those interest rates are at. So you can plug that in. Let me make sure I'm catching up to date with everything y'all are saying. Let's see here. Let me make sure. Okay, one person put 10%. Felicia's was most realistic. So I'm going with Felicia's. All right. So 24%. Yes, credit card interest rates are around 24%, 26%, 27%. Yes. So Felicia and Lottie are actually more realistic. Now, what is that like a monthly payment? Let's go over here to the monthly payment. What is that estimated monthly payment on that credit card? Whether it's the minimum monthly payment, on average, what is that monthly payment in this hypothetical situation, Miss Janice, Miss Felicia, or Lottie, anybody except for Jamal? That's my boy, y'all. I'm just picking on him. I'm just picking on him. It's nothing new. His feelings ain't hurt. Anybody, what is the monthly payment? We got a credit card. It's $2,000 balance, 24% interest. And what is that monthly payment? Let's see. What is that monthly payment? I told y'all his feelings not hurt. That minimum monthly payment, $45. All right. So we go with 45, we go with 80. I'm around it to 60. So let's go with $60. So if you pay it $60 a month, and like I said, y'all, the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is what made me so frustrated with financial institutions that it made me want to start paying my debt off as fast as possible. So when we hit calculate, it says months to pay off is 54 months. That don't look good already right there. That just rubs me the wrong way. To me, I think that's saying like more than 4 years to pay off $2,000, $60 a month. And this calculator will just allow you to see, all right, you had the principal amount was $2,000 that you wanted to pay on this thing, that you needed to pay on it. But because you make those minimum monthly payments that they request, or a little bit more than the minimum, you end up paying over $1,200 in total interest. So they got $3,237 when all you did was borrow $2,000. And so they win. This calculator will help you see and allow you to make some adjustments and say, okay, all right, instead of 60, what if I start doing an extra $200 a month instead? Then boom, go to the calculator, have them do the math. Now okay, it should be paid off in about 12 months, $200 a month, because it's going to make interest. So now instead of them getting $1,200, I think it was $32, over $1,200 in total interest. Now, because I was a little more aggressive, I saved a lot of money in interest. So now I'm only paying $207 in interest to pay back this $2,000. What does this mean? It means I saved myself about $1,000 in interest that I was going to give this credit card company. Instead, now I get to keep that and put it back in my pocket because I did not pay it, did not take a long time to pay it. And so that's just an example, hypothetical, on what you can do to learn how long it's going to take. Like I said, if you want to be good with money, you want to be able to calculate and identify, find out how long is it going to take me to pay this off. And this is just one card. And by doing this math, you can start determining and learning how to pay the rest of them as well, based on your cash flow, based on what you have coming in and out. When this card is done, you're going to have an extra $200 of cash flow left over at the end of the month to put towards the next debt. And so there's different ways to attack the credit card debt, whether you're doing the cash, whether you're doing the snowball method, the avalanche method, or whether you're doing the cash flow index method. There's different ways to run this to be effective. And of course, if you need to learn more information or understand it, you can always, like I said, send a message to me, or you can join my YouTube channel where I'm always putting up videos about the different methods to eliminate debt anyway. Now, if you have a mortgage in place, then you may need a more aggressive method to eliminate your debt if you have a mortgage and consumer debt as well. Then feel free to hit me up and we can discuss that as well. So also, if you want to, I always show everyone this. This is another thing, and I'm going to get back to other points to know whether or not you're good with money. Another thing that I show people, which made me become more aggressive with eliminating my debt, was realizing how much the banks were going to take from me if I were to pay my mortgage full term, if I was going to pay my mortgage for 30 years. Let's see if I can pull that up as well. All right, so to give a quick scenario here, everyone, people who bought a house in the last 2 years or more, maybe in the last 2 years, they can probably identify with this scenario. The cost of houses have gone up. When you look at how long it's going to take for you to pay off your 30-year mortgage, which is an amortized loan, and some of you may or may not know what that means, but long story short, it means it gives the bank 30 years to make a bunch of money off of you, because you'll probably end up paying for the house maybe twice, some people maybe 3 times, based on how long you take to pay off that house. So in this scenario, and keep in mind, I'm showing you why I became aggressive about eliminating debt so that I can put more money back in my pocket, increase my cash flow so that I could save for retirement better, and so I can stop giving the bank so much money in interest. I started being strategic and wanted to learn how to do the math to save myself more money. All right, so when we look at this scenario, someone bought a house. If they bought a house and the value was $250,000, but they put 5% down, and let's say now the loan amount is $237,500. If the interest rate is about 5.98%, and of course, new home buyers, they're probably in this range or potentially higher, for a 30-year mortgage, when you look at that monthly mortgage payment, the principal and interest part of that payment, we're looking at $1,944. So $1,944.84. So when you look at those monthly payments, if you were to pay this for 30 years, total interest, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the principal. That's not the $237,500 that they owed on it. If you pay a house for 30 years, that's just the interest payment alone. So you end up paying for the house at least twice, because they're going to get over $270,000 in total interest out of all of those payments, everything in combined. When you're talking about insurance, taxes, estimates, total, the bank is getting that. And so that's why I teach a lot of people how to pay off their mortgage in less than 30 years so that you can put a lot of this money back in your pocket. How are these banks doing this? Well, it's an amortized loan, ladies and gentlemen. Because it's an amortized loan, let's see here. Let me show you this. Here we go. Because it's an amortized loan, when you make your monthly mortgage payment, the principal and interest portion of your mortgage payment, let's see if I can enlarge this to 200. If your principal and interest payment of that $237,500, if it's $1,495, 1,183 of it would go to the bank, and 312 of it would actually go to your actual mortgage balance. And that's why it takes so long to pay off a 30-year mortgage, because most of the payment goes into the pocket of the bank, and they only put a small portion to your actual balance. And so every month when the bank is able to take what you see over here in column G, these interest payments over a period of time, it adds up. It adds up, and that's why the bank is able to get over $270,000 from you. But anyway, those are a few things as I was coming up and learning how to manage and be more responsible with money. That's why I became more aggressive with managing, monitoring, maintaining my money, because I got tired of the banks taking from me. Do you know what I could do with that money? In that scenario, do you know what someone can do with an extra $270,000? That could help somebody build up their retirement fund. That somebody could buy some multiple properties with that to create more passive income. So if we can stop financial institutions from taking so much money from us in interest, we can use that money to build up our wealth as well and create more cash flow. Good morning to you, Mr. Brandon. Yo, what's up, Mr. Steele? What we talking about? We are talking about, are you good with money? Are you good with money? And so those are some of the things we're going over. That was number 2. Number 3, signs that you're good with money. Do you make your monthly bills? Can you pay all your monthly bills, all your monthly expenses every month? Can you pay your bills? This is another sign. I don't know if Yvette is still on and taking notes for number 3 or not. If she's not, somebody else step up and take the notes. Number 3, do you pay your monthly bills on time? That's another good sign that you're good with money. Number 1 was budgeting. Number 2 was, do you have a strategy, an effective strategy to eliminate debt? Do you know how much money the banks are going to get from you in total interest? Number 3, do you pay your bills? Can you pay your monthly bills? So that is number 3. Now, there was a time I had to pay my bills as I could. I couldn't pay my monthly bills on time systematically. Like, somebody was going to have to wait till after the due date. I couldn't pay everything on time. I would have to look and analyze and see what bill I could hold off on and pay later, or potentially pay next month, or potentially pay on the next pay period. And you don't want to get caught up in that cycle. You don't want to get caught up in that trap of having to catch up every time, because it sets you back. And then all of a sudden, something else can happen. Car needs new tires. All of a sudden, the dog needs to go to the vet. All of a sudden, it's time to buy new tags for the car. These random things will pop up in the middle of you trying to catch up. So having that budget in place and learning how to pay all your bills on time systematically is going to really help you be better with your money. It's going to help you be better for when last minute things pop up. And so that's another thing that you need to look at. Am I paying my bills on time? If not, then let's go through the budget and figure out what is hindering you from being able to successfully pay all those things on time. For some people, it may not be money. It may be something as simple as you need to set an alarm in your phone. One thing I use is my Google Calendar. I didn't used to use it, but now I will put an alarm or put a note in my Google Calendar on a certain day. If I have a certain bill that's due on the 15th, I may put alert or something in my Google Calendar on the 13th and 14th, just to make sure that I go ahead and knock that out. So for those of you that have the money but still pay the bill late, start using your calendar and alarms to help you be on time. Why? Because some bills that you pay late, it comes with fees. And that means you're giving away money. We don't want to give away money. If you want to give away money, just give it to me. All right. Next, number 4. Another sign that you're good with money. Do you know your CF number? Do you know your cash flow? Do you know how much cash flow you average at the end of every month? That's number 4. Number 4, do you know your cash flow average? Do you know your cash flow average? I'm waiting on somebody to write in number 4. What is cash flow? After you pay all your bills, you get your income. After you pay all your bills, all your expenses, everything has been paid and taken care of. What you have left over at the end of every month is your cash flow. Now, when I was younger, I used to think cash flow was my income. I used to think when I get paid, that was my cash flow. But that's not your cash flow. When you get paid, that's when the party gets started. That's when the initiation of directing traffic starts. When you get your money, look at Mr. Brandon with the exclamation points. That's what I'm talking about. Money left over after you spent on liabilities. Yes, what is your cash flow? And do you know your cash flow number? Yeah, it may fluctuate a little bit from month to month, but usually on average, Mr. Darius Newsom, good morning to you. Appreciate you tuning in. So do you know your cash flow number? What do you usually have left over at the end of every month after you paid everything? Now, if you look up stats, it usually says about 66 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So what that means is a majority of America, a majority of people, when you walk in a room, when you're in any environment, most people don't have CF at the end of every month. They really don't have cash flow at the end of every month. 70% of people. We want to create financial situations that allow us to have cash flow at the end of every month. And you can be aggressive about doing it, and you can take steps to create and increase your cash flow. When you increase your cash flow, yeah, it is insane. A lot of people struggle with learning how to manage their money. That's why we're talking about this subject today is, are you good with money? What are signs that show you're good with money? A lot of people struggle to manage, maintain their money, and have financial success, and we don't talk about it. You know, in the family, if someone's struggling financially, we just pretend it's not happening, and we pretend that we make do, and we go through cycles on and on. But there's nothing wrong with getting financial help. Just like you get physical help with a hospital, just like you get mental health with a psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever profession does that, you can still get financial help as well. Whether you go seek a financial coach, whether you get a financial advisor, whether you educate yourself, we have to improve this situation. You have to know what your cash flow number is. When we find out that cash flow number, you can make some things happen. You can figure out how quick you can eliminate debt. You can figure out what you're working with to help you prepare for your retirement. You can figure out how much money you want to invest at the end of every month now, because the cash flow number is the money that's left over. And so when you have money left over, that means you already have enough food. You already have shelter. The 4 basic things or 5 basic things you need in life to maintain yourself, all of that stuff is taken care of. So now you can actually spend what's left over and invest in other things freely, because now when you invest that money is going to work for you. Your cash flow is going to go bust a sweat for you. Your cash flow is going to go pick up a hammer and put in some work for you to make more money. And that's the benefit of having that extra cash flow and increasing it. So we want to know that cash flow number, and we want to increase it. Number 5, do you have an emergency fund? This is interesting because everyone has different views on how much an emergency fund should be, what it should look like, the percentage, the amount, how many months worth of it you should have. And I have my own views when it comes to emergency fund. I think sometimes, let me define this. So number 5, do you have an emergency fund? So number 5 is, do you have an emergency fund? Brandon said, make your money work for you. That's exactly it. That's what I like doing. I like making my money work. It comes to a point in time in life where we can work. But as you get older, physically, your body is limited on certain things that it can do, whether it's the physical body or whether it's the mental certain things can happen. So we want to position ourselves to let our money work. So that way, if we don't want to do the physical, or we don't want to overthink the mental side of it, aspects of it, we have money coming in. So number 5 is, do you have an emergency fund? And how much should that emergency fund be? Most people will tell you. This is interesting, Brandon. So now you're going to get my philosophy on emergency funds. Some people say you should have at least 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. Okay, what should that 6 months of savings be? Brandon, do you know when they say emergency fund, 6 months of savings, do you know what it should equal? How you come up with what that number should be for those 6 months? If you should have 3 to 6 months of emergency fund, what does that look like? How do you determine if you have 3 months of emergency funds? How do you determine how much should be in that emergency fund? Well, I'll tell you. One of the ways you can determine how much you should have in that emergency fund is if you do a budget. When you look at your budget, it should show you how much your total expenses are for the month. So if you make $6,000 a month, and then you look at all your expenses, and all your expenses are $5,000, it takes $5,000 to take care of your quality of life, your living. $5,000. That means if you make $6,000 at the end of the month, you should have an extra $1,000 over, which is your cash flow, your CF number. If it takes you $5,000 a month to pay all your expenses, that means you should have, if you have 3 months worth of emergency fund, that should be 5,000 times 3. So that should be $15,000. Your emergency fund should be based off of your expenses. The amount of money you spend to have your quality of life, pay your bills, pay your debts, food, you name it. How much does it take? And so we do that. We base it off that number because if you were to lose your job, if you were to get laid off, if something were to happen to you physically where you can't work, you have at least 3 months of that $5,000 at your disposal to pay those bills and expenses for 3 months. So if someone's quality of life, bills, expenses cost them $5,000 a month, if they were going to have 3 months worth of savings, then they would need $15,000 of emergency fund. Now, if you go with what Brandon is saying he learned you should have at least 6 months. Well, someone who's going to have 6 months of emergency fund, now that's $30,000. That is $30,000. So instead of having $15,000, you could have $30,000. And there's nothing wrong with having 6 months of liquidity of savings for an emergency fund. Now, because it's based off if somebody loses their job, physically injured, gets laid off, short-term disability or long-term disability, and you know when that happens, they don't pay you your full amount. That emergency fund can cover that. And we're talking about signs and things to show if we are good with money or not on today. And having an emergency fund in place, in position, is another good sign that you might be good with money. And keep in mind, people make a lot of money. There can be somebody who makes $500,000 a year, $1 million a year. A big money maker does not mean that you're good with money. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you it's not a sign that you are great with money and managing money. Now, when we get back to this scenario, good morning, Mr. Scott Welch, a fellow Windsor Forest Knight from way back in the day. I appreciate you tuning in. Somebody who makes a lot of money doesn't mean that they're a great money manager. It doesn't mean that they're good with money. It just means they're a high income earner, or they're a great investor, or they have a great job that pays them a lot of money. when you have your savings and you're putting away for your savings, they say to have that 3 to 6 months worth of emergency fund. Brandon, there's nothing wrong with having the 6 months. I think 6 months is extreme for certain people. Because if you're saying the emergency fund is based off of if you lose your job, you get laid off, or you leave your job, you quit, and you're job hunting and you're looking for another job, that gives you 6 months of cushion to find the next job, or whatever the case may be. There are people who are actually retired and they get retirement checks every month, whether they're retired from the military or a government job, you name it. And so if you're getting a retirement check every month and you can live off of that retirement check, yes, Brandon, somebody who's living off a retirement check or some type of disability, they're already getting a certain portion every month. So for that person, 6 months would be a little extreme, because no matter what, whether they get laid off, whether they lose their job, whether they quit, they already have a retirement check or disability check coming in every month. So it changes the dynamics of how much they actually need in case they did lose their job or something like that. And now here's the difference. Sometimes, Brandon, there's some people who do contract work. And when you're doing contract work, what's up? I'm sorry, y'all. That's one of the young men I used to coach. And anyway, happy that he's tuning in. Dive on in here and learn how to make some money and manage your money and maintain it. And then give me some as well. And so when we're talking about managing, maintaining, and making that money and having an emergency fund, if someone is a contractor, as a contractor, they could cancel the contract, or they can decide not to renew the contract. And in those situations, that's when I would say, yeah, you probably want to have like 6 months of emergency funds, because what if they don't renew the contract and you're a contractor? What if they cancel the contract? What if everybody gets laid off? You have, different people that work on posts, and there's a lot of contract work done, and companies go down, companies fall apart. If I'm in those scenarios, then yeah, I definitely want to have 6 months of emergency funds off to the side. So what am I saying? Evaluate your situation. And for some people, you may only need 3 months. For some people, they may need 6 months. I will say this: if you're in some of those 3-month scenarios, especially if you're already getting a retirement check or other money, passive income is coming in. So for example, I have real estate, I have rental properties. So I have a certain amount of passive income that comes in from real estate investments. So whether I'm awake or whether I'm sleeping, money comes in, whether I'm not working at my job or not. So having an emergency fund at a certain amount, I may not need as large of an emergency fund because I'm still going to have money coming in regardless. Now, why am I saying that? Because sometimes people stack too much money in their emergency fund. They'll have $100,000. They'll have $80,000 sitting in a savings account. And I wish I could go in more detail about this in a demonstration, but I can't. So they'll have so much money sitting in a savings account, and the value of the money might be losing. It might be losing spending power. And what I'm telling you is that person may only need 3 months. They may only need 4 months, and they might have 1.5 years, 2 years stacked in there. And what you can do is take a portion of that money. You could go buy, whether it's an Airbnb or whether it is an investment property, whether it's dividend stocks. They can take that money and invest it in different asset classes, and that money now will give them passive income. It will make more money sitting in a different asset class than it might be just sitting in a savings account. And I tell everyone, if you're going to do a savings account, you might as well have a high yield interest savings account. If you don't know what a high yield interest savings account is, in the description area, once we get off, and I'll be off in probably like 9 minutes, in the description area on YouTube, the description box, or on Facebook, I put a link in there for a high yield interest savings account. So just click the link and set up your high yield interest savings account, and you could potentially get like 4.2, 4.3% interest in the savings account. And even the checking account makes interest as well. So you can open up and set up an account where you make interest in your checking account and savings account. Click the link in the description box, follow those directions, and make yourself some free money. And I believe also when you join, I think after 2 to 4 weeks, you get an extra $25 as well. So the bank is giving away free money. Take advantage of it, because why not? They're giving it away. Keep it. Enjoy it. It's not that you have to keep the account, but at least get the free money. And if you don't want the account after that, then you can decide to do what you want to do. Next, we dealt with emergency funds. Number six. When we learn whether or not you're good with money or not, signs that you are good with money is being able to pay your future self. Do you pay your future self? Yes, we spend money on ourselves now. But do you spend money on your future self? I don't know how old you are right now, but 20 years from now, is that future you getting paid money? Are you putting stuff in position, in place, in different asset classes that will benefit the future you? Is the future you balling? Let's think about the future self of us 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. When you see yourself, are you making chess moves? Are you making financial moves that allow you to be financially successful? Once again, when we go through these different orders, 1 through 6, a lot of this is going to position you to be able to pay your future self. Whether you're looking at your cash flow, how much you can put in a savings account, in a retirement account, in other assets, so that the future you can be paid. And how much will you know? Like, how much does the future you need a month? Well, if you're doing your budget, if you're following some of these steps from today, then you're starting to understand how much you may need to survive and live and maintain yourself 5 years from now, 20 years from now, whenever you decide to disconnect from your current job, if you decide, or not, willingly or unwillingly. And so you have to look at those things. Are you able to pay your future self? And do you pay your future self? That's another good sign that you're good with money, if you can pay your future self. If not, that's fine. We got to eliminate some debt. We got to make some adjustments so we have some extra CF so we can put the money and allocate it in the right places. All right, next, number 7. And this is interesting. Number 7, and I won't stay on it long because I am not a tax professional. Number 7, another sign that's showing you you're making progress, you're excelling, and you're being better with money, I would say, is having good tax strategies. Start learning and getting with whoever does your taxes on you to have great tax strategies. So number 7 is, do you have good tax strategies? Number 7, implementing tax strategies. Why? Because tax strategies save you money. Wealthy people are able to build wealth and create generational wealth because they're not taking a lot of their money, a lot of their profits, a lot of their capital gains, and giving it back to the government. They're able to keep it in their pockets, reinvest it, and create more passive income, or be able to put their money in tax shelters to prevent them from having to give it back to the government. And they're doing it legally by following the laws and the rules and policies that are in place. So another thing to elevate yourself financially when it comes to your money is educate yourself on good tax strategies and tax shelters to save yourself as much money as possible to not have to give back to the government. Last Saturday, we had a conversation about all of this. I went on my rant of why in the world do we have to work so hard to give the government so much money back in taxes because of the money that they borrowed. Why am I paying back their debt? If I borrow money, I got to pay it back. So when they borrow money, I think they should make good decisions with that money when they borrow it, where they invest it, so that they can make money back on it, enough to where they don't need me. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Number 8, this is very important, and I won't stay on it long, and we're almost done because I'm trying to get off in the next 5 minutes. Number 8, do you have a will, a trust, or estate planning? Do you have estate planning done? Do you have a will, whether it's trust, whether it's revocable, irrevocable? Have you done any estate planning to be able to manage your funds even when a family member has passed or you yourself has passed? How are things going to be distributed, assets, all these different scenarios that take place, life insurance? Do you have your estate planning done? Having estate planning done is another good sign and another good step to managing your money, managing your assets, your generational wealth. So that's number 8, having your estate planning done. Let's see. Good morning to you, Miss Loretta Rose. So that's number 8. We're almost done. If you don't have your estate planning done and you want to get like a will, estate planning done, or a trust, hit me up. Of course, you can email me, coachstillfinance@gmail.com, coachstillfinance@gmail.com, and I can send you the link to a great company that is phenomenal with doing estate planning. You can set up an appointment with them. That way they can talk you through the process and let you know what they can do for you. So just let me know whether you email me or whether you jump in if I see it in the chat on YouTube, or whether you message me on Facebook. I'll see it in the messenger. I'll send you the link. That way you can schedule an appointment with that company. They are phenomenal. And number 9, we're at the end. Whew. 3 minutes to spare. We're at the end. I appreciate everybody for making it this far, 1 through 9, all these different things to show whether or not good signs we are good with money, managing money. Awesome. I'll get that information to you, Felicia. So number 9 is having a retirement plan in place. Another good sign that you are good with money is having a retirement plan in place. In other words, you are executing, you are implementing that retirement plan. Whether it's, I have a Roth IRA and I max it out every year. I'm putting whatever it is, $360 a month in it. Well, it'd actually be more than that if you're maxing it out, because I think the max is anywhere between 6,000, 7,000, somewhere in there. Don't quote me, Google it. So you'd probably have to be doing at least 500 or something a month to max it out. So do you have a retirement plan in place? I have my 401k at work, and not just having the 401k or the Roth IRA or the real estate portfolio, but understanding how much you need a month, like we talked about at the end. When you look at the whole month, how much money do you spend to maintain your lifestyle at the end of every month? And 15 years from now, including inflation in there, how much is it going to cost you monthly to maintain your lifestyle? And is your retirement plan, the income from your retirement plan, whether you're receiving distributions, whether you have passive income coming in, whether you have a job, whatever it is it bringing in enough money every month for the future you to maintain your quality of life and other variables that may be into play 15, 20 years from now, 30 years from now as well? And so that's another good sign that you are doing great with money, is if you have a retirement plan in place. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all made it through every step of the way, all the way 1 through 9 with Are You Good with Money? I appreciate each and every person from tuning in today. I've been talking for like 59 minutes and 20 seconds. So that's a lot of time to be tuned in, but you did it because you want to improve yourself. You did it because you want to be a better you financially, and that's what it takes. When you truly want to be better with money, managing money and maintaining money, another part of it, and if we want to add number 10, is being willing to do research, willing to do homework, and educate yourself on how to be better with money. That's number 10. Number 10 is being willing to research, educate yourself, and be better with money. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you all for tuning in on today to Coach Still's Finance Training. If you're tuned in, like I said, make sure when you get off, you have some assignments. One, either you share this on your Facebook page or with the loved one, somebody that you know. 2, go into the description box and click on high yield interest savings account and set up your high yield interest savings account. So that way, whether your money's sitting in a checking account or a savings account, you're making money off of it. You don't be loyal to a bank, be loyal to your money. So be very strategic about that. And once again, go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Love each and every one of you, and y'all have